All right, are we finally live? Welcome everyone to the ARCA Racing Podcast. I'm your host Colby Evans, aka Starting Park here. Sorry about that first link. I'm not sure what happened. We've been having some issues with YouTube Live as of late, but we've got it corrected now on the stream. Like I said, welcome everyone to tonight's podcast. And boy, tonight is a very special one. This past weekend, I lived one of my childhood dreams of competing in a NASCAR race. It does count. It does count because ARCA is now a NASCAR Touring Series division. So by technical, I was able to cross off the number one thing on my bucket list, and that was to compete in a NASCAR sanctioned event. So that meant a lot to me to compete with the stars of the ARCA Menard Series, to race in front of my family and my friends. It was a very special weekend. Didn't go exactly, how we wanted to, with some mechanical problems taking us out. I'll get to that a little bit later on, but still a very magical weekend overall, and I'm just happy to, we previewed it. Last week's show, and we are going to talk about it tonight. So, again, we're going to let a few more people file in here. We'll go through the intro. I go through the beginning of every single podcast, and we will jump right into the Iowa action. So, as usual, follow me on social media, on X or Twitter, whatever the heck you guys like to call it, at Starting Park Car. We're less than 75 followers away from 7. It'd be nice to get to 7,000 followers within maybe the next few weeks. Like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell for notifications so you guys never miss a podcast when I go live. We are less than 40 subscribers away from 2,600. So that would be the next goal to reach, obviously. And check out the Racing.com for all NASCAR media-related content, the official media partner of this podcast. So, Iowa Speedway, like I said, this was a very, very special, very special weekend for me. I had been saving for this, mentally preparing for this, and getting myself into better physical shape for this. Auto racing's no joke, man. Auto racing's no joke. So, just like mentally, physically, you have to prepare for it, and financially, you have to prepare for it. And, we were able to work out a deal with Alex Club. We were going to run the full race. I want to preface that. We were going to run the entire race. It was just not going to be a starting park. I told myself that if I was going to go out there and make an ARCA start, originally a year ago, I had the idea of, well, maybe I'll just do some starting parks. That was my original idea of being an ARCA driver. But then I told myself, you don't always just want to be known as a starting parker. And you want to be known as a guy who can actually go out there and race. So I told myself if I was going to go out there, and race, that I was going to be a full race deal. And that's, I worked together with some sponsorships, some right financial investments on the stock market. Not going to lie, that helped a lot with the money there. And, of course, some extra sponsors, Plus One Tennis Academy, LastCard.info, and DEI Construction. All contributed to sponsorship for the race, so I cannot thank them for the support. We also had a grassroots campaign in terms of collecting, because in Iowa we have a 5-cent ball deposit, so we had a grassroots campaign where around my local town, everybody would bring their beer bottles, beer cans, pop cans to my house, and then I would go redeem them. And through that campaign, we raised almost $4,000. So, yes, it was just a real team effort to get me to Iowa Speedway. So, again, I really cannot thank all the supporters and all the people enough for helping me get there. And I wasn't there by myself. I had 26 other competitors, solid 27-car entry list with 2 fellow Iowa people. We had Mason Mitchell, who's from West Des Moines, Iowa. And then we had Cadence Davenport, who was from Slater, Iowa. So I was among 3 fellow Iowa drivers amongst the field of 27. We actually had some international drivers. We had Takuma Koga, E-Series regular, and Regina Servant, and Eloy Falcon from the Mexico division. So, yeah, I'm going to talk about my day first. Before we get into the race. I'm not going to lie, I was nervous as hell. I was extremely nervous for this race. Got to the track right when the garage opened because, you want to make a good first impression. First impressions are everything. And so, we get to the track, talk with Alex, have our, everything meeting. And then I have to do my first fit of the day. And as you guys can imagine, I am 6'4". With shoes on, I'm 6'5". So squeezing into these race cars without a door is not exactly the easiest thing. So, as you can imagine, I squeezed myself in. My knees were hitting the dash. So they had to raise the dash up about 4 inches just for me to squeeze my knees in. They had to take out all the padding in the seat just for me to sit back another 1.5 inches, so that way my knees weren't in my face. I enjoy my height, but there are many, many times where I wish I was simply 5'10" or 5'5". It would make getting into a race car so much easier. But no, I have to swing my big legs into the car, and I eventually got myself in. We got comfortable, so we did our fit check, got through tech, went through the driver's meeting, got my headshots, as you guys saw on the pre-race broadcast starting lineup. My awesome picture of me and my long hair and the ARCA hat. Man, you guys should have seen the smile on my face, dude. I felt so damn alive out there. It's like, yeah, I look good. I look good in my fire suit and my hat. And of course, all these other ARCA drivers in the meeting are like, who the heck is this guy? I can only imagine what they saw when they were like, this guy's in the race? Oh boy, we're in for a treat. So we get to practice, and I'm not going to lie, I'm terrified. I am terrified. I have been around Iowa Speedway before in a driving experience car. I've made over 50 laps in driving experience cars at Iowa Speedway. So I guess you could call it somewhat experience, the basics of what line to run, even if you're way off the pace. But I was completely terrified, and it didn't look like for a second there that we were going to practice. We could not get the car fired. The motor would not turn over at all for some reason. I was fully strapped in, like I was ready to go. I was nervous, but I was completely ready to go. And unfortunately, the car would not turn over. We tried giving me a push start, which, sometimes with a manual car, you can kind of push start it, and that did nothing. So they pushed me back. And then it's like once we got back to my stall, they tried the switch again, and it just fired right up. So mystery gremlins, it happens in racing. Car fired up. It's kind of weird. The clutch that was in this 86 car, it's not as giving. It's not as giving as the one that I have in my personal race car. So it tended to slip a little bit. So I'm not going to lie, I stalled it. Basically, I stalled it. And so I finally was able to get going, though, got on track. And when I say those first few laps that I was genuinely kind of, nervous and a little jittery, I was. My hands I had a firm grip of the wheel, but my arms were kind of shaking. And I just, I wanted to keep the car clean, didn't want to get anybody's way, but also wanted to put down some laps because in ARCA, in the practice sessions, especially for first-time rookies, you have to set a decent lap time that ARCA deems safe to race. If you don't set a lap time in practice for you, if you don't set a lap time in your, I'm getting my words mixed up here. In your debut race with the ARCA Menard series, if you don't set a fast enough time in practice that ARCA deems safe to race later in the day, then you will not race. That's what I'm trying to say. So, there was also that in the back of my mind that I want to impress the officials enough and set enough lap time so that way they will let me compete in the race later in the night. Sorry, that rule, it's a very long sentence, and I'm trying to say it as clear as I can so that way you guys can understand what I'm trying to say. So, and yes, to all the people who have commented so far, including some people I know, if you guys are still watching, thanks for commenting. But unshockingly, I was one of the slower cars. I knew that was going to happen because I knew what car I was in. It is one of the slower cars in the field. I was 5 seconds off, but hey, cut me a break. I'm in an open motor car that has 150 less horsepower, not the best setup. So hey, cut me a break now. But I still thought I did okay for a guy in his first start and first go around the track. We ran 12 laps of practice. The 10th lap I ran was my quickest one. We did get to qualifying. Now, for qualifying, I just wanted to put a lap in. I knew we were going to start at the back. I felt like, me and my crew chief and Alex had all kind of banded together saying it's probably best that I just kind of put a lap in, maybe start shotgun on the field and just go from there, not have to worry about anybody behind me. So that's what we did. And that's why my qualifying lap, if you guys go look at the results, my qualifying lap was almost a second slower than my fastest practice lap. It's because I wasn't even trying. I was just putting a lap in for the sake of putting a lap in. So we get to the race itself. And again, the jitters are setting back in. I'm not gonna lie, standing up there in the driver's stage, talking to everybody. The nerves are setting back in, but I'm like, you know what? This is what you wanted to do your whole life. And I kept telling myself this. This is what you wanted to do your whole life. You've made it this far. You're not going to let your nerves get the best of you. You're going to go out and you're going to give it your best shot. And this was probably the only time in my life I'll get to walk across a driver intro stage. So I wanted to make it memorable. So when, I'm the first guy out, 27th, starting from last, I'm the first guy out. They say my name, do my intro, and man, you guys can see the pictures up there. I threw my arms up, was like, yeah, I'm doing it. Waving to the crowd, and I was having such a great time. Such a great time after that. Then walked back to the car. Of course, we did all the pre-race ceremonies, the invocation, the national anthem. We got me in the car, and I said, thank God the engine fired up, and, once again, slippy clutch, stalled it, but got it going again. And found out real quickly that fourth gear was going to be a problem right off the bat. So I could shift into second and then into third, no issues. Absolutely no issues. But, because I was going to start the race in third gear. So we started the race, and clutch in, I go down to fourth, and it doesn't go. And I'm pushing a gear lever all the way as far down as it'll go. It popped out. So then I slammed it down again, and eventually it caught, and then boom, we were off. But, it was the initial start of the race. I was probably already close to a half a lap behind by the time that came about, so. And it was at that point where my spotter was like, you have about 4 or 5 laps before the leaders are going to catch you. Try to find your rhythm as quick as you can. And that's basically what I was trying to do the first few laps. Trying to find a rhythm and trying to find where the car could handle and try to get some heat in my tire so I had grip. So, they eventually did catch me. They did, of course, catch me. I knew that was going to happen. And I thought I did a pretty good job of staying out of the way. I know there were a few times where I washed up. I know there was one lap where, man, I tell you, I went into turn 1 way too low, and I did not hit the brakes hard enough because I tried to let the car roll into the corner, and that sucker washed up, and I remember I panicked because I thought I was about to take someone out. Thankfully, that was the only time that happened, and also was able to pick up my lap times a lot from practice. I was averaging like 27.8 to 28 second laps. That was kind of a very comfortable speed for me to run. Staying above minimum pace while also getting lapped. We were doing well. And then obviously a few spins. We had cadence spin, avoided her. I'm not going to lie. I did struggle with keeping up with the people in front of me during the caution. I'm not going to lie. That was on me. I screwed that up. And so, to the people behind me who were probably frustrated that I wasn't pulling up quick enough, I apologize for that. I should have been getting bunched up the field a little bit quicker. It was so much so that Chris Wright was actually passing me and then giving me the hand out the window, like, come on, dude, let's go. And so I eventually got back up there, and so we did a few more laps. Before we had another accident, which actually involved Chris Wright, so poetic in a way. Passed him, and a few other people while they were attended to on the front stretch. Got back going green again and again. By this point, the third run, I was in a groove. I felt more as comfortable as I'd ever been with the car. But at this point, the car kept popping out of fourth gear down the straightaways. And obviously, Iowa Speedway is very bumpy. The teeth on the gear were probably a little stripped out. So you put that together is probably more than likely what it caused it to jump out of gear. So I had to hold with my right hand. I had to hold the gear lever down in fourth and drive with one hand down the straightaways. So you can imagine a guy in his very first ARCA start, having to drive with one hand on the gear shifter and one hand down the straightaways. Thankfully, it stayed in fourth gear on the corners, so I could use both hands to steer the car in the corner. We were just gonna wait until the first break to really fix it because I could manage it personally. I could manage it. It was not a big problem for me. We got to the scheduled race break, and just by where we were in the leader group, coming down pit road, thank God, the car, it didn't have the best brakes. I could feel the brake pedal going away as the race started going on, and so I came into my pit stall. I hit that. I'm telling you guys, when I hit the brakes as hard as I could, I hit the brakes as hard as I could. And I still went right through the box. And thank God, the 70 car of Sam Corey was the car in front of us. Thank God he was not in his box, or else I would have completely rear-ended him, and it would have been very embarrassing, and it would have just been a really bad day. Thank God. And so in my car, the transmission's kind of old in the car. Reverse, I'm not sure how good reverse is. I tried to go to reverse, and there was nothing there. I really did try to go to reverse. So then I make eye contact with one of the Nitro crew guys, and I think he can kind of tell what that means, and he just gives me a shove back. Him and a few of the Nitro guys push me back. So thanks to them, and I apologize to anybody from Nitro Motorsports who's watching. I'm sorry. I really tried to stop the car. It just would not stop. So they left my car running during the stage break, even though you don't have to keep it running. I think we were afraid that our issues from practice were going to come back. So to be safe, it's easier to leave the car running. They handed me a water bottle, but I couldn't get my chin strap undone. So there was no way for me to bend my helmet to get water, so I just said screw it, threw the water on the side of the car. Not out the car, I just threw it in the side of the car, and it just rode with me for the rest of the race. They gave me some bungee cords to wrap around the shifter and some of the roll bars to try to keep the gear in place. We got back going green again, and initially it looked like that the bungee cords were actually helping. However, it still popped out of gear. So even with bungee cords, I still had to hold the gear lever with my hand down the straightaways. And honestly, by that point, we had again gotten into a groove, running good, at least in my opinion. And then we were going down the straightaways, and the car would rev up, and it would not stay in gear at all. Like, it just wanted to pushing it out of gear. And even as I was forcing it to stay in fourth, it didn't want to. So made another lap, and again, this is when I was really, really slow off the pace. Because of that, I made one more lap, and it was just popping out. It did not, and I'm like, this car's got a race next weekend. I don't have the budget to fix this. If I break the transmission or blow the engine, let's just call it a day. So I threw it into neutral, clutch in, threw it into neutral. I guess I didn't need to clutch in, but I just did it out of instinct. And I just rode around in neutral on the, you guys know what I'm trying to say. The bottom groove that's not actually in the racetrack, on the racetrack, but just rode around the bottom lane, got on the pit road, went to the garage, and our day was done. So, not how I wanted to end it. Not how I definitely wanted to end the night, but yeah, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It's not like I said how I wanted to end the night. Frustrating because you want to run the whole race. You're just about to halfway. I think the race itself was actually at halfway by that point. I just had only completed 62 laps, and I wanted to keep going. But Casey Carden was driving the 86 at Watkins Glen this weekend, and he's bringing more money to the team, and we'll address the club issues in a second. But it just wasn't my place to try to push the car harder than it sounded like it wanted to go. So, but I had a great time. We didn't finish last, and we beat Chris Wright. And I'll take it. I'll take it for debut. And a lot of the drivers, I talked to a lot of the drivers after the race, and I just basically said, "How did I do?" And they're like, "Well, you didn't wreck anyone, and you didn't spin out yourself. So, in other words, you did a fine job. So don't worry about it. You did fine." And I didn't get yelled at by the ARCA officials, so I assume that means something good. So yeah, like I said, that was my. As for the race itself, this was another 18 and 28 show. Brent Cruz and Brendan Butterby Queen. The 18 and 28, like I said, they've been the stars of the ARCA Menard series the whole year. Venturini, I don't know what's just been going on. Other than Berlin, it's pretty much been the 18 and the 28 domination. So, Brendan Butterbean Queen led 112 laps. Brent Cruz led 38. They finished 1 and 2. It's just funny when you're behind the wheel, and I just want to say this, you'll never understand the sensation. Maybe sometimes you're on the highway, but you think you're going fast. I'm giving it everything I can. I'm hauling ass down the straightaways, flying into turn 1, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going fast. And then here comes the 18 and the 28 just flying past you, and you're just like, damn. It's just like it crushes your spirits. It's like, yeah, I'm going fast. And then here comes the 15 and the 28, or 15 and 18, or the 18 and 28, I'm sorry. And they're just like, it's like, come on, dude. But yeah, they've just been the stars of the field. It's just there's no beating them. And they actually ran faster than the Cup pole. Brent Cruz was the fastest pole of the entire weekend at Iowa Speedway, which I think is the most hilarious thing too. I don't think that's happened in almost 6 years. Was the last time an ARCA pole was actually faster than a Cup pole. I think it was 2019 Kansas is the last time where an ARCA car set the fastest time of the whole weekend. Or a Cup car. But yeah, that was just so funny. Lawless Allen third, 2 straight third place, two straight top threes for Lawless Allen. Isabella Robusto fourth, LeVar Scott fifth, Isaac Kitzmiller with a very solid sixth. Sam Corey, despite all the damage he suffered, still recovered to seventh. Eloy Falcon eighth. Mason Mitchell thought he would do a little bit better in ninth, and Jason Kitzmiller was 10th. 21 cars ended up finishing the race. Takuma Koga, myself, Chris Wright, Mike Basham, Trevor Ward, and Brad Smith were the DNFs from the race. The person who brought up the Cadence, she spun 3 times. She's still getting the knack of these ARCA cars too. It was only her third start, so you got to cut her a break there. Like I said, for Quinn Davis, she did a great job in 15th. Regina Servant, great job in 13th. I will say, that girl can drive. She does very good in the Mexico circuit. Would love to see Regina do more ARCA races. Did meet her in the garage. Very lovely gal. Obviously, the Kimmel team, great friends of mine, so I love those guys. So happy to see them get a strong 13th place run. But yeah, like I said, it's definitely another domination of the 18 and 28 cars. It's just hard to beat them, when they had the money and the resources. And, like I said, the 28 teams and secret weapon, in my opinion, is Shane Huffman. And the 18 team is just the 18 team. By far the biggest ARCA team in the garage, technically and financially. So, the points results after Iowa. We'll start off with the East standings because this was a combo race. That's why I mentioned Isaac Kitzmiller. He did outrun Tyler Reif again. We have just one race to go, so it's kind of hard to believe the East season is wrapping up. Isaac Kitzmiller holds a 19-point lead over Tyler Reif and a 30-point lead over Zachary Tinkle. So that means mathematically, going into Bristol, the final race, we have a three-way dance for the championship. We will get more than 30 cars for Bristol. So, by math, Zachary Tinkle does have a shot at the E-Series championship. And after what happened last year with Connor Zilich, never say never. Never say never, that's for sure. For Tyler Reif, he is definitely going to need the 79 to have some problems. That is for sure. So, Takuma Koga, Austin Vaughn, and Brad Smith, the other full-timers, are just simply too far back. And will probably finish in those positions. Well, Takuma and Austin are separated by 5 points, so that'll be a contested battle, too, for 4th place in the East Championship. And then in for the main division championship hunt, Brendan Butterbean Queen obviously winning the race, extends his championship lead over Lawless Allen to now 33 points. I hate to say it, but being 46 points behind, I would say unfortunately LeVar Scott is mathematically eliminated from the championship hunt. I just don't see him recovering that many points, and the 28 and the 20 having that many problems. So, I hate to say it, but it looks like we are now down to a 2-horse race for the championship. I hope LeVar can get a win, at least at some point this year. The guy has driven his ass off. He's done a lot of great things. He's got a great average finish. No DNFs so far. So I hope LeVar can get a win at some point, but I hate to say it, I think he is mathematically eliminated. LeVar, or Lawless Allen, 33 points out. He's definitely going to have to start gaining. He cannot afford to lose any more points. This weekend at Watkins Glen, he has more road course experience than Butterbean Queen, and he's going to have to use that against him. And he's going to have to claw back some points this weekend if he wants to stay in the title hunt. As for the Owners' Championship in the East Division, the Joe Gibbs 18 car still leads that one pretty handedly. But however, in the main division, the Mark Webb 28 Pinnacle car still leads the 18 by 15 points, and the Billy Venturini 20 car, again, by 33 points. So that is your Owners' Championship battle in the ARCA Menard Series. Still pretty hotly contested, as we know the 18 team. They don't run for Drivers' Championships. The 18 car strictly goes after the Owners' Championships, which in the ARCA Menard Series pay the most. So, like I said, guys, it was a very memorable weekend, very great weekend. Just having my family there, you know, my grandfather and cousins and aunt and uncles and all those great people. I don't see them, you know, all that often, just, you know, because, like I said, family stuff, you know, all that crap. So just for everyone to come together and for this moment meant a lot to me. So that was fun. I just wish things could have ended, unfortunately, better for the Alex Club team. Found out the next morning on Saturday that traveling on I-80 home, one of their members fell asleep at the wheel of the 03 truck and trailer, and unfortunately fishtailed, spun out, flipped over, and got hit by a few semis. And so, not what you wanted to wake up to. Thankfully, everybody was okay. But unfortunately, the trailer toast. The trailer was toast. The truck, it will be repairable. Most of the equipment was lost. Somehow, but some way, the car was salvaged. And it's a real testament to how awesome ratchet straps are. That car did not really have any super serious damage, which is honestly a miracle when you consider the kind of accident it was in. So, and that very same car that was involved in that wreck will be racing this weekend at Watkins Glen. So that's a testament to the club crew. But I hate that for Alex. You can go check out his GoFundMe. I believe it's still up. Just go to GoFundMe. I'm pretty sure I have a link in the description. If I don't, I'll put one there. But you can go to GoFundMe.com, look up Alex Club if you want to donate to him. I believe he's at like $17,000, so that'll help with tow bills and repair costs. But yeah, really crappy situation for the club team. Otherwise, it was not really the best day. Alex, he struggled in the race with handling issues. The car was hitting the track, so they had to chain up the drive shaft cover. Not honestly the best day for the club team, but at least this guy got to make his debut, you know. So, but that was Iowa. A very magical weekend, a very fun weekend. I'll never forget it. You guys can go check out a compilation video I uploaded on the channel when this is over. It's got all the pictures and a few videos from the race weekend if you guys want to go check that out when we're done here of the race itself. And like I said, if I can live my dreams, so can you. Let that be a PSA, you know. I'm not a motivational speaker, but if I can do it, of all people, if I can do it, you can do it. You just got to have the determination. So we will transition over to this weekend where we have a double-header ARCA weekend. We have the ARCA Menard Series West. ARCA Menard Series West Series at Tri-City, and the ARCA Menard Series regular division at Watkins Glen. We will start off with the West Series, and we will end with the main series. Now, the West Series has definitely been one of the downer series of ARCA this year, despite having great racing. It's kind of the weirdest part. The ARCA Menard Series West has been really struggling with its car counts, unfortunately. But yet the racing has been great. I mean, it's just like, if we get another 10 cars, this would literally be the best racing circuit, honestly, right now on the planet, in my opinion. Or maybe in North America. Maybe not on the planet. But probably in North America. Just because tire management. And it's so even in the series. But we'll start off with our entry list. Just 12 cars. So unfortunately, this won't take us long. Robbie Keanley in the Jans Towing 1 car, Todd Souza in the 3, Eric Johnson Jr. in the 5, Tanner Reif in the 13, Jake Bowman in the 19, Greg Biffle, yes, former NASCAR Cup Series driver and Xfinity champion Greg Biffle will be in the 23 Sigma car. Tyler Brown will make his ARCA Menard Series West debut for Rise Motorsports. Yes, Rise will not be at Watkins Glen, and they will be at Tri-City instead. Trevor Huddleston in the 50, Blake Lothian in the 51, Kyle Keller in the 71, Jonathan Rayom in the 72, and the 05 of David Smith. So, like I said, not the biggest entry list to go off of, which kind of sucks, but they put on great racing. So, even though it's only a 12-car field, I'm still expecting a fun race. Right now, mathematically, we have a three-way dance for the championship. Trevor Huddleston holds a 14-point gap over Tanner Reif in second, and a 15-point gap over Kyle Keller in third. Mathematically, I think, just because of field sizes, Eric Johnson Jr. and Robbie Keanley are just too far back, I think, to be in contention for the championship. So I would say it's down to a 3-horse race. We're just about halfway through the year with the ARCA Menard Series West, so like I said, it's kind of anybody's game with those top 3. Like I said, coming into this weekend, they ran Tri-City last year. I believe Tyler Reif in the 13 won that one. And I remember it being a good race. I think he battled with Huddleston in that one. As for this year, I'm going to go with Greg Biffle getting the win just because of the experience. Tri-City's a very close track for him. I don't know if he was a track champion, but he ran there a lot in his younger days. So I'm going to go with Greg Biffle for the win. As an underdog pick, we're just going to go with Kyle Keller because I keep wanting Kyle Keller to win. He's so damn close. He'll get there, but I'm going to go with Kyle Keller as my underdog pick and Greg Biffle as my primary pick. So, but yeah, just hopefully the West Series can pick up some steam with their car counts because I want the series to thrive. And it just makes me sad seeing 12-car fields be the norm this year. So, as we move on to Sorry. I'm a little parched. It's hard doing this without drinking a bottle of water in between. Ugh, that's better. The ARCA Menard Series regular division is at Watkins Glen, my personal favorite road course in the U.S. Second is Road Atlanta. Those are my two favorite road courses. I really wish we would go to Road Atlanta. I love that track. But I'm glad we're still going to the Glen. I was supposed to be there this year with the NASCAR Classic division. Unfortunately, just didn't work out. But we will be there next year. Mark my words. A very solid 27-car field. There was 28 on the entry list, but we had one car withdraw. So 27 cars on the entry list. Of course, by usual, we will start off with the entries from top to bottom. Before we get to that, though, car counts. You know, we've always talked about car counts. Not the biggest field that we've had since ARCA's return here in 2021. In 2021, we had 29. 2022, we had 25. 2023, we had 22. And then last year, we had 29. So to have 27 this year is about in the middle. Still a solid size, not as bad as 2023 at all. Obviously, we'll have some starting parks, but still a decent amount of cars to show up. So we'll start off with the 4 of Dale Quarterly. Good to see Quarterman back. LeVar Scott in the 6. Trevor Ward in the 9. Ed Pompa in the 10. Matt Wilson, who is actually a fellow Vintage Series driver. He owns his own 2018 Cup car. So good to see Matt Wilson back in ARCA. Trent Curtis in the 12. Chris Wright in the 15. Brent Cruz in the 18. Lawless in the 20. Tyler Reif in the 23. Alon Day in the 25. Butterbean Queen in the 28. Ryan Gemmel and Nemco Motorsports returned, so that's cool. In the 29. Corey Aiken in the 34. Brad Smith in the 48. Isabella Robusto in the 55. Shane Bacquez in the 67. He was supposed to be in the 00, but the car withdrew. And he's now been put in the 67, it sounds like, even though Ryan Roulette was listed in the car. Thad Moffitt in the 70, Glenn Reen in the 71, Christopher Worth in the 72. Good to see Christopher. He usually runs the Watkins Glen races. Andy Jankowiak in the 73, Tristan McKee in the 77. 15-year-old Tristan McKee, by the way, so if you feel old, just know that there is another 15-year-old in ARCA. Casey Carden in the 86, 97 of Jason Kitzmiller, 99 of Michael Maples, 03 of Alex Clubb, and the 06 of Brayton Laster. So that is your field size for Watkins Glen. Starting parks, I would expect the 48, of course, of Brad Smith. Probably Trevor Ward in the 9. The 9 car has been a consistent starting park for Fast Track. I'm not really sure about the other 3. Matt Wilson's not one. Ed Pompa's not one. Trent Curtis does have a sponsor listed, so I doubt he is one either. Usually if there's a sponsor listed, then they're a full race. So I think just the 9 and the 48 are our starting parks. So if that's the case, that's good. Gives us 25 full race cars. Gives us 25 full race cars. I'm going to go out with a limb. Brent Cruz, you know, we know how good he is on the road courses. I'm going to go with him to win just because it's obviously one of the better cars in the field is the 18. So I'm going to go with Brent Cruz to win. And then for an underdog pick, it's not really an underdog because of a team, but I guess it's his debut. I'll go with Tristan McKee as my underdog pick. He's going to be hard to beat as well. He literally just ran the Trans Am race at Watkins Glen only a few weeks ago. So he's got a lot of experience. So, but yeah, we already went through the points championship. Definitely got to be a big weekend for Lawless. He's got to gain on Butterbean Queen in the championship. Otherwise, it's just looking like another walk-away championship win for Butterbean. So, like I said, the race is this Friday. We actually have a whopping 5 series of racing at Watkins Glen this weekend, which is a lot for that track. You have HSR NASCAR Classic. They're doing their vintage races there. ARCA, Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. That's a lot of series in one weekend. So you're definitely getting your money's worth if you go into Watkins Glen. But it's Friday, Watkins Glen, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central Time. ARCA and Trucks are running on the same day. ARCA is in the middle, or early in the day. Trucks is later in the day. So it kind of makes sense. Obviously, ARCA is starting earlier than usual. So, unfortunately, some of you might miss it because you'll be at work. Luckily, Friday's one of my days off, so I'll get to see it. But yeah, it's a 2-day show. Thursday, tomorrow, they're doing Tech Day. And then Friday is actual race day. So, that is Watkins Glen, and that is Tri-City. And that was my debut at Iowa Speedway. Like I said, last weekend was very memorable for all the right reasons, and I'm hoping to make it a reality another time, but pending sponsorship money, of course, because that's how this business is driven. It's not about talent, it's about the money. We all know that. So, yep, so that's probably it for tonight, folks. Thanks again for tuning in. I know it's been kind of doing these podcasts on a Wednesday, but I've just been so busy trying to find the right time to do it, so I'm just glad we can still do it at all. Because, like I said, I'm a very busy guy and just trying to get stuff done. But thanks again for everyone tuning in tonight. Like I said, follow me on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Subscribe to the channel. Check out my other videos on the channel. And, yeah, thanks for all the continued support. So, I've been Colby Evans, starting Park Car. Give you all the goodbye salute. And I am signing off, and we will see you all on next week's podcast. So long, and goodbye.